Video. Hello, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Hantembe, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Mr. Lupia. How are you this morning?
Very fine, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, dear ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hantembe will just give us a brief summary of what VAT is in Zambia. All right, sir, do you mind if you can just tell us what VAT is?
Okay, so I'll try to, as much as possible, to use layman's language so that those people that are just doing business can also understand what we are talking about here. So VAT is a tax which is charged on taxable supplies. And so this is applicable to all the businesses in the production chain, that is from manufacturing up to retail. That is actually what VAT is all about, and it is also charged on imports.
Okay. And how about in terms of, let's say, is there a threshold, or are there some things that someone needs to have in order for them to be registered for VAT, or maybe it is open to individuals and businesses alike?
No, there are actually requirements for you to be registered for VAT. So for you to qualify to be registered for VAT, your annual income or the return or turnover should be at least 800. So 800 and above, that is when you can register for VAT. But there is also voluntary registration if you are below the threshold of 800 per annum.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And also, I would like you to just kindly elaborate what it means when someone says VAT is charged on taxable supplies. What does that mean?
Okay, so taxable supplies is a supply which has a tax on it, or VAT. So this is what a taxable supply is. So it is liable to, or there are two categories of supplies. There's standard rated and also zero rated. So standard rated, those are charged on at 16%, and then the zero rated are charged at 0%. But many people do ask what is the difference between zero rated and the standard rated supplies. Well, zero rated supply, and also there are also those exempt supplies.
Yes,
that is where
I was coming there. But
that is where the confusion comes in.
Yes.
With zero rated and exempt.
And
They say,
exempt.
no. Why is it like this? So zero rated supplies, there is VAT, but at 0%.
Okay.
Yes. But then for those that are exempt, there's no VAT at all. And then if you are dealing with the zero rated supplies, you can register for VAT. But if you are dealing with exempt supplies, you cannot register for VAT.
Okay. And also, anyway, since we are on the exempt, zero rated, standard rated, all those nice things, can someone, let's say, trade in a business which has zero rated supplies and exempt supplies and still be liable for VAT?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So those are called partially exempt. So if they are dealing in with the zero rated or standard rated and also exempt supplies, so the mechanism, we still follow the same threshold of 800. So if the standard rated or the taxable supply is 800 and above per year, so you are liable to register for VAT. Just that taxable portion, whether zero rated or standard rated, if it goes to 800 per year, then you are liable to it. If it is below that, then you are not liable to register for VAT.
Oh, excellent, excellent, sir. I think we are doing justice here. Okay. And then the other one, which I would also like you to share with our viewers, is on the tax invoice. What is a tax invoice?
So, a tax invoice is actually an invoice which is issued for tax purposes or for tax supplies. So when you have got taxable supplies, then you issue that tax invoice. So on the tax invoice, actually, many people just think anything else can be used as a tax invoice for claim or whatever purposes. But in Zambia, there are features that should be there on a taxable invoice for it to be valid.
For it to be valid.
Yes, for it to be valid, because
Okay.
you can call it anyway a tax invoice, but it is not valid.
So it's not just a matter of getting any invoice. You use Excel and you write there on top tax invoice.
No. That's not how it is. I've seen some people who just go into their computer and they draft something and write tax invoice. Then you think it is actually qualified. No.
But in that case, then what are the contents or what are the elements which can constitute one to be a tax invoice and the other one not a tax invoice?
So before I answer that question,
yes,
I must state that a tax invoice should actually come from a pre-printed tax invoice, or from an accounting package which is approved by the authority. In this case, this is ZRA that we are talking about, not just any other book that you just pull out and write tax invoice, then you say it qualifies. And I've also seen some that would just cancel. It's just written invoice, then they just cancel and write tax invoice in pen. So that is not. So the features that should be present on a tax invoice for it to be valid are: number one, the word tax invoice itself. Yes, the word tax invoice should be put on a prominent place. You don't have to start looking for it or you put it behind or anywhere else. No, it has to be very visible. So that is number one. Number two, the tip-in for the supplier. So on the tip-in for the supplier, and also the name and address of the supplier, this should appear there. And then there should also be the tip-in for the purchaser, the person who is buying. The tip-in, the name, and the address. So when you talk about the name, these are business names, of course. Yes, these are business names. But if your business is registered in your individual name, well, that is the name that should appear there. And then there should also be a description which is sufficient enough for one to be able to tell that this is the item which was supplied. This is the item, the goods or services which were offered. Then there should also be for those that are quoted in dollar, they should indicate the exchange rate. That is very important, but many businesses just leave that one out. I don't know why. Maybe they think it is not important, but it is very important. It is actually required by law to indicate that. Then besides that, there should also be an amount which is exclusive of VAT. Then you also show the amount, the VAT which is charged, and also the amount inclusive of VAT. So these are the features. So the other thing that we have we don't have to forget is the date. A date is very important on a tax invoice. Yes, the date should be there, and also the invoice number. Very important. The invoice number. So these invoice numbers, invoices should be actually issued in sequential order. Yes. So when I say in sequential order, I mean, if this invoice that you've issued now is numbered 1, the next one is 2, 3, just like that, it continues.
All right, sir. And I think just the last part before we can call it a day. can you tell us also about the periods in which maybe VAT is supposed to be declared? Is there such a thing, or maybe it's supposed to be on a monthly basis? How do you submit the returns to the DRA?
Okay, so number one, VAT should be submitted monthly.
Okay.
So the deadline of submission and payment of VAT is the 18th of the subsequent month. So that is the deadline for VAT submission and payment. Then for claiming VAT, you have a 3 months period in which you can claim an invoice. So if an invoice is older than 3 months, then you cannot claim VAT on it because it is expired. And then there are also those that are on periodic reporting. So the periodic reporting, for example, those that are in farming, their businesses are seasonal. Their businesses are seasonal, so they apply to the commissioner so that they can be given that opportunity to be reporting quarterly. So if you are not reporting monthly, then they should be reporting quarterly. So those that are reporting quarterly should actually be allowed to do so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And in conclusion, are there any last words that you'd like the viewers to know?
The last words that I would love the viewers to know is just that let us all try to, as much as possible, be compliant. So VAT is quite vast, and if you do not have much knowledge in handling VAT, you better engage the consultants that have got a lot of knowledge. In this case, I'm talking about Amazon chartered accountants. You can come to us. You don't have to gamble with VAT because the penalties are just...
You wish to talk, sir?